Hello, everyone. Hi, Amber. I think you're the first one, at least the first one to jump in and say hello. Not too early. We're here live on Fabulous Fridays. Sandy, we're going to talk about mastering our emotions. So easy, right?
You know, the more challenging it gets, the more opportunities we're going to learn how to do this, but it's not going to be necessarily easy. But, you know, it's interesting. When we talk about mastering our emotions, one comment that came to mind for me is how much people are shamed for having emotions in our society. So how do we master something when we're taught to be ashamed of even displaying them or having them? You know, so there's so much misinformation out there about what our emotions are, how we're to utilize them. And I say utilize them because it's our higher self who should be mastering our emotions and dictating not what we feel, but how we process and how we maybe not internalize, but interprets information that comes to us, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, it does. And I think that's amazing, because I think we are actually very much shamed about our, even, I'm going to be honest, even in the spiritual community, you want to be, you know, that whole love and light bullshit. Right. And it's suppressing all of the other emotions, but they're all there for a reason. We have them all for a reason.
My top. It's all crooked here, and I can't figure out why. Everything's backward here on the camera for you. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's always backwards. You know, I'm trying to fix like a hair here, but I'm going over here because it's.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
it is interesting about emotions, just how we are so out of touch with our emotions, and some people can't even. Like, I don't want to say categorize, but they can't describe their own emotions. They might tell me they're feeling sorrow and they're displaying terror. You know, it's an example of one that I can think of that happened a number of years ago. And so people, we're not even taught to be inside our body to feel the presence of ourselves, so that when emotions land, that we can feel, what is this? Is it telling me something I need to know? You know, anything along that line, right? That we're so out of touch. And when we're shamed to feel emotion, we're about to go through a major change, and we can all feel it. Everybody can feel it, right? But we're going to go through this major change. But how are we going to process our emotions? Or are we going to stuff them down because that's our go-to behavior?
Yeah, and it's so dangerous. I mean, I think we've all done it. I mean, you know, I will, you know, what was the, Gone with the Wind. One was her, you know, she'll deal with it tomorrow, or think about it tomorrow. Well, remember that line in there? And I want to say hi to Patty and Lori. Hello, hello.
Hello, ladies.
Great to have you with us today. Let's master some emotions. Actually, even you're right. Recognize what they are. Because often we'll say we're sad, but really maybe we're angry or disappointed, or we feel betrayed. What is it really?
And it's funny that you're saying that. And I've gone through this myself, and I've seen other people do it. If you have repressed emotions upon emotions upon emotions that are repressed, sometimes you have to go through and unpack the priority to see, okay, you're feeling sadness, but why are you feeling sadness? Like why are you having trouble processing it? And you find out there's other emotions that are blocking that, because maybe at another time you had to feel an emotion, but it also had a fear attached to it or an anger attached to it. So it's almost like when you go through and you clear energy, sometimes you can go through and look at the priorities, set them up, which one's the biggest priority, next priority, and go through and clear them. But so that's not the same as processing. So there's a difference. Sometimes you're carrying stuff that you don't need anymore, clear it. If you want to learn how to feel it. If you want to learn how to be present, feel the emotion, feel the energy that you're in, feel the impact it's having on your body, so that you can interpret it and what it's telling you, because that's where our information fields are, right?
Yeah, we got Alma and Dave in the house. Hello. Everybody's popping in.
Alma's comment, but we have had time to process being duped about so much. So the asleep people will be facing lots of feelings all at once. And that is so true. But here's the thing. We are all still being duped. And because evil, the job of evil is to dupe you. So even the people who are speaking up, what we're finding is sleepers are coming out of the woodwork, even at what we would call us, like I call myself a normie, not in terms of the sleep people, but in terms of I'm your average person. But it doesn't matter. People are coming out of the woodwork trying to dupe us. So this is going to be really important that we get duped instead of going, oh man, and getting really upset about somebody trying to put one over on you. laugh it off and go, that was a good one, but I'm on to you. You know, so there's so many different ways. Once you clear out all the, like you master your emotions, you can see things that are happening, but not get emotionally attached to whatever's being done to you or what bill of goods somebody's trying to sell you or any of those things, right? You can just observe it as the observer and not get caught up in the drama of it, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, to go back to, because it popped into my head, because it's actually one of the things I used to train on, finding the root cause.
Yes,
What's the root cause of the issue? And so if we're feeling sad, we don't know why. You know, there's a really good little technique, and I love this one, was the best, is the 5 whys. Like, why am I sad? So what happened? And then you go back and it's like, well, why did that happen? Why did that happen? Why did that happen? And you will eventually get to like the bottom of this whole buildup. And it's about looking at, because, you know, lots of, I've seen it. I think you and I had a conversation about this, you know, and I said, you know, it's happening especially a lot with like teens that don't understand their emotions. And it's, I just feel sad. And I'll be honest, that's actually the word that was used when I was talking to this kid. And he's like, well, why? And it took a few layers. Like, what brought this on? What was going on? Was there something else? Da, 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 da. And then finally, you know, you start to pull apart all of the junk that made her sad. Because that was the only thing she could actually articulate. And it was like digging a little bit instead of saying, oh, I'm really sorry you're sad. Well, why are you sad?
You know, it's interesting that you're saying this. This process is fantastic that you're sharing this with everybody, because everybody, we're going to get to the point where it's going to be, the answer is always in the questions, but it's almost like a log jam on a river. You pull out 1 or 2 logs and then everything starts flowing again. But you don't do that by giving somebody empathy or sympathy. You do that by asking the questions and get them thinking and moving the energy and processing the situation. So that's a fantastic example. So name the 5s again, the 5 W's
it's just called the 5 whys. So it depends on whatever situation you're in. And, you know, I think in my training, we used to use, like, you know, somebody was late for work. Well, why were you late for work? You know, because I didn't have any gas in my car. Why didn't you have gas in your car? Well, I had no money to put thing. Why didn't you have money? Well, because I was out, you know, playing poker and I lost all my money. It's like, I actually think that's pretty much the slide I remember. And there's lots of different approaches, but I always thought the 5 whys was the easiest for people to kind of look at getting to the root cause. So let's like, just because you were late for work, well, why? You know, did your alarm not go off? Why didn't your alarm go off? Did the power went out? Why did the power go out? Because I didn't pay my electricity bill, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, you just go through the layers.
But it's a process and you're calling it layers. I'm calling it process. We're probably talking the same thing, right? But the idea is that you start moving the energy around the emotions. That's how you manage your emotions. That's how you master your emotions. You start moving the energy. And if you're cognizant enough that you can stay inside and observe yourself as you're doing it, then you answer your own questions.
Exactly. Because it's about checking in. Why do I feel this way?
Yes.
Why? And then instead of just moping in it, let's get to what's really causing it, because something caused it. And even if it's something you think, well, it's because somebody was mean to me. Well, why did that affect me so?
So this is interesting.
And so this is something a little deeper that happened before. So this is a pattern behavior, and maybe it's because, you know, something in your family or at school or whatever when you were young, and it became a trigger event. Yeah.
So it's interesting. I can't remember what you and I were talking about recently, but then something came up about feelings. Maybe it was last Friday. Somebody asked the difference, or the Friday before, between emotions and feelings. And something came up this week, and I wrote it down. You hurt my feelings. And I thought, that's not true. So I'm talking generality here, right? So you hurt my feelings. No, you didn't hurt somebody's feelings. You hurt their sense of self. You hurt their soul. You hurt their sense of who they think they are when you hurt somebody's feelings.
Okay,
you're saying, oh, you hurt my feelings. That's just a rote answer. No, we hurt your sense of self. You hurt somebody's sense of self, or they hurt your sense of what's important to you.
Right.
So even looking at some of the things that we believe relate to feelings or emotions, it's not true. It's just more.
I just want to say, because you were You were a little garbly there when you were explaining it, but I think what you were basically
Okay.
saying is you weren't hurting feelings. You were actually hurting their sense of self. And
Yes, totally.
that's basically
I'll
because you
say
were
that
garbled
again.
and you
That's what
came
it
in and
is.
out, and I think I was catching bits and pieces of it. And I
Yeah.
want to
So
make sure everybody else got it in a nutshell.
you got it for sure. Yeah, you got it
Yeah.
for sure. But that's what it is. It's your sense of self. It's your soul. It's what you believe in.
Yeah.
What is important to you. So if somebody, they didn't hurt your feelings, they hurt your energy, your aura, your soul. They hurt, like it hurt on a different level. You still have to go in and ask why. Is it your insecurity, or is it something they did or something they said? But it's still, it's just a road answer. You hurt my feelings. It's just something people say without really looking into what it is exactly. Did I hurt? Is it mine or
And
is
often,
it yours?
I'm gonna be honest, it's usually their persona, that part of their ego, and what they're trying to portray to the world. You don't want that mask to be hooked, to be spread open to see the inside of you. Sometimes it is the inside of you, but often it's that if you're triggered, it's often the ego self, that persona.
It can be, but let's don't nail it down.
Not always. Not always. I said not always, but often.
Yeah,
often.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Depends on where the people are at. I find people sometimes intentionally try to insult my feelings or my views because they're trying to gain footing. They're trying to establish a hierarchy. That's their ego, right?
Yes.
So, but it's up to me not to buy in by staying in the observer and mastering my emotions and realizing this is yours, not mine. So it's interesting just how we're starting to see how we react to things that are happening in the world. Because, so I hadn't been online an awful lot this week, and it's interesting. And when I do go on, if I go on at night to check, I haven't missed a damn thing. So I'm sitting here going, why was I so worked up? Not worked up, but why was I so intent on understanding everything that's going on and having to know the latest news? And I realized, you know what? That's just taking me off of my game.
Yeah.
It's okay to go in and check, but it doesn't mean that I have to be in there all the time worrying about what's going on in the world. This is definitely a time for us to wait. Like, what's Lori saying, waking up to ourselves? Yeah, this is our time to wake up to ourselves and what we're here to do, one, but what we're good at, what our strengths are, what we want to maybe change or develop in our lives. Like if we have a skill set we want to develop further, stuff like that.
Absolutely. And I think I've been saying for a long time, it's really important to step away from that, like daily, like bombardment of news, the alternative news, the fake news. And honestly, sometimes both are fake. Let's get real. A lot of times both are fake. And it can be very overwhelming. It can be very overwhelming. And I actually just recently, just before we actually went live, I was telling Sandy, I actually discovered, thanks to Tori says, actually, she said, oh, I love watching this. That's how I found it. And I was like, oh, who's this person? I love murder mysteries. Let's check it out. And there's Bailey Sarian. She has a makeup channel because she's a makeup artist, but for I think a couple of years now, she's been doing every Monday a murder mystery and makeup Mondays. And she puts on her makeup and she tells a murder mystery, and she does it so well. And then she's also done dark history, which I have to say, I would highly recommend everybody watch the Andrew Jackson, President Andrew Jackson, and his history. And I didn't know this, and I don't know if anybody knows this, but he is the reason there's two parties. The Democrats and the Republicans were actually one party, and it was because of Andrew Jackson they split into two. Did you know that?
No.
And it kind of makes sense to why the Democrats are so fucking evil, because he was all in the ego. And it was a really interesting story, the dark history of Andrew Jackson.
I'm kind of stuck on some of the history, what we've been told. And I used to love the spy novels and Nelson DeMille and all the secret agents and all the three-letter agencies and all the manipulation in the games, because I could sometimes predict where it was going to go in the storyline, whether it was a book or an audio book I was listening to, a book I was reading. And I used to love it. And then when I found out a lot of that stuff was true, that's when all of a sudden I realized this isn't funny anymore. Like, people are dying out here.
I know. Right? I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. Because even before 9/11, wasn't there a book that talked about, and I don't remember the author, and I know it's in my brain, but that actually talked about planes hitting buildings. And I think those buildings
That's what I'm saying. So
before.
this is and this can be a real test on our emotions when you find out the intensity and the intentionality of another person. So I don't know who I was listening to, and they were talking about intention. So when we're meeting people or we're in situations with people, ask yourself, what is this person's intention? Is their intention for my highest good, or do they have an intention that's for their highest good? And you and I, we do the L rods and we do pendulums and all kinds of things, and we can ask whatever questions we want, but you start to read who's got intentions for themselves, what percentage are they for self, and what percentage are they for others? You know what I mean? But ask the start asking the energy fields of people around you, because when we're starting to watch these stories that we knew, I'll give an example. I was watching the Omega Man with Charlton Heston back in the, I think it was the 80s. And he knew then the vaccines were part of the story, part of the makeup. Now, maybe he didn't know that, but the script of the story talked about it, exactly what we're going through right now. So like all this stuff is in the, so this is a betrayal is an emotion, a very heavy emotion to carry. But some of these emotions, we have to feel them, then let them go.
Yes. And
what does betrayal feel like?
And I'm going to
go, awful to have somebody
betray you. But you know what? It sometimes presents itself in sadness or feeling of defeat, because especially in that, I like, you just feel defeated because everywhere you turn, you're finding out somebody else is like messed with you and lied to you. And
some people feel that way. Other people, it strengthens them, because we say, oh, we figured out another way. And there's a lot of people watching right now what's going on in the bigger, I'll call it the bigger arena, the more public arena, the higher ups in government and things like that. Evil is evil. It does not give a damn what position you hold in life, who you are in life, what you do in life. If you are good, they're going to try to hit you at what's important to you. So if you say you want love in your life, you might find all of a sudden you get a lover, which is really your handler. If money's important to you, you might all of a sudden realize you've got IRS problems. Well, how convenient was that? If you are out speaking about something and you have somebody you love, you might find, I can think of 2 examples in Toronto where people got cancer. Oh, your loved one got cancer and died. How convenient. So it takes you off your game. So we start to look at how betrayal is played. It's not even just how you feel about it, but the intention of it and the intensity of it, how it can strike in different ways. But what I find is evil only has so many games, but betrayal, they want to betray your heart.
Yes, they do.
That's the idea. They want to break your heart, take what matters from you.
Yeah, it's, and they're doing it every day. And that's why we really need to, every day. And it is amped up. Though I have to say, and I don't know if anybody else is feeling this, but like for a few weeks there, everything seemed to be chaotic. Like even my brain, like everything felt like no, like you were on edge. This week, I actually have felt like so mellow.
Smooth sailing. Yeah.
Smooth sailing. All like nothing's really ruffling my feathers as much as it used to. It was like, okay. Oh, there's a tsunami in Alaska. Interesting. There was okay.
And that could be just you're practicing a lot of, like you practice what you preach. There's no doubt about that. But just being able to observe what's happening, we can have empathy for the people who are experiencing pain and suffering in that tsunami. But we don't have to energetically or emotionally intensify the situation by sending it anything. Yeah. Does that make sense? Just let it be. Right. And we're starting to see more and more of these natural disasters. And maybe there'll be a time wherever we are, wherever any of us are located, that we're going to experiencing it too. You know, so how do we?
I actually think it's an energy shift, because it's not just me. I was talking to a couple of friends and they're feeling it too. It's like we went from like this hyper, like it was really intense. And then all of a sudden it's like so much easier this week. I don't know what next week has to hold for us.
I thought it was just me.
I thought crazy. And you know what? I wondered. I'm going to be honest. I actually was like, is this the calm before the storm?
That's why it's important everybody takes some personal time when you can get it. So there was a video out last weekend, and it was an ex-military man in the U.S. saying that he's been hearing it from different sources that the higher ups in the military are told to get their houses in order. Yeah. So I plan on taking some time off this week. And I actually thought to myself, maybe I'm not going to do that. Maybe I'm going to stay. I would have regretted it if I'd stayed and nothing had happened. So sometimes you just have to get on with your life too.
Yeah. And you just got to feel your way through it. Does it feel right to go? You know, if you take out the fear factor, you got to take out the fear of what they're telling you. And just because they're telling you, that doesn't mean it's imminent like that week, but they're giving you time to get your house in order, because it's not going to happen in a day. Right.
Right. but it still gives us a chance. What I'm saying is that we don't buy into it. You look at it, you take the fear out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And then I had to unpack my fear because we can all lie to ourselves too. So I had to unpack my fear because I was doing things that I haven't done for this is the first time. And I thought, do I really want to do this? And I realized I could have used that story as an excuse not to go. I had to really unpack what I was feeling. Was I upset about this guy's video? What was I concerned? What are all my concerns? Let's lay them on the table. I'll find somebody to help me. It's all fine. And off you go again. Do you know what I mean? So it's really important that we examine even the fear as an emotion. Examine the fear. What's behind it? Oh, can I use this story as an excuse to not do this? And it's like, no, Sandy, that's not what you want to do.
No. I mean, and you've enjoyed yourself. You're having a good time.
Totally.
And that's the most important thing, because we have to find the fun wherever we can get it at this point, right? Wherever we can get it, because it's been a hell of a road the last year and a half, right? I think we're all tired, emotionally tired, and that's. I mean,
so let's look at exercise. I don't know if this is going to make sense or not, but look at exercise. If you want to get good at something, you practice it. Yeah. So that can be a sport that you're talking about. It can be a skill set you're talking about. Maybe it's computer skills. You put the time in, you get better at it. If you spend more time processing your emotions in the moment, you're going to get better at and not get as tired energetically, because it's not going to take you up and down. Right. If that makes sense. So you just look at it for what it is. So it's so important that we stay in the 0 point energy. And that's what a lot of people are talking about, the hero gammas, as being in the higher masculine and feminine energy, but being able to observe what's going on around you, not attaching an emotion to it, asking, is this mine or is this somebody else's? So where I am right now, everybody is 3D. They're so vaxxed out. They are so out of touch of what's going on. Is perfect, because I can just sit in here and mind my own business. Yeah. And there's no fear in here. There's nothing. So I'm in 3G Wi-Fi. So then I can feel the difference between the energies when I'm in the 5G and when I'm in the 3G. So I'm just trying to take in all the senses of what's going on around me. Yeah. And just enjoying myself, right? Yeah. And you know what? You're really fortunate to be out in nature, like really open space and water and everything else, because that's healing. Totally. That is very, very healing. And, I think when we talk about mastering our emotions, it's actually figuring those things out. Like, where do I need to be right now? So that's what you were doing. It's like, where do I need to be? Is it at home? Is it where I'm, what is it? Where? And really checking in, because you don't want the fear to take over our lives. And that's basically what they've been trying to do for the last year and a half, right? And when we really look at it, it's been for decades and decades and decades and decades. Our entire lives have been trying to keep us in line through fear. Yes. And fear mongering is only going to intensify. Yeah. And it's fear mongering is what it is. They are mongering. They are intentionally trying to keep people in fear, right? And it doesn't mean you're not going to be scared sometimes, but take the steps you need to do what makes you feel good. Yeah. And then let it go. Go have fun. Do what you got. Life goes on. Yes, it does. There's, you know what? At the end of the day, even with all this stuff, it's like, you know what? The limitations for our safety are so BS, because guess what? We didn't come here to live in all cocoon. I'm like, I'm going to take the risk, because there's only a couple guarantees in life, and one of them is death. We're all born to die. Too. They say the other one's taxes, and that's like, I know. That's why I didn't say it, because I'm hoping that one actually goes away. And so this is interesting. So we're talking about what came up the feeling of judgment, because a lot of people are saying stop judging others. This was interesting. You and I having this conversation. Oh yes. So let's talk a bit about that. What the difference is. So I fell asleep down at the beach the one day, and I wake up and I'm looking at my arm and I'm going, arm. And I'm thinking, arm means so many different things. You can have an arm attached to your body. You can have an arm of government. You can have an arm in a corporation. You can have, so all these words are duplicitous. And that's what the confusion is within the English language, because everybody can interpret the same word in many different ways. Yep. Right. So we were talking about judgment, and the word judgment. What's the difference between judgment and discernment? Judgment's wrong, but you're supposed to practice discernment. What's the difference if you're judging the behaviors and not people themselves. You're not judging what they're wearing. So I'm down at the beach there this week, and I'm looking at people, and I honestly don't care. If you're happy, I'm happy for you. You're fucking with people, and I find out about it, and it involves me, you're going to have a problem. That's just how I operate, right?
Well,
there was nothing like that down there, but I'm not judging sizes. I'm not judging people. And I realize I don't have judgment on people at all. If you're happy with what you're doing, you do it. If you're causing another person discomfort, or you're manipulating or whatever, then that's a different story. It's the behavior that you
exactly judge. Well, and when we were talking, that's what I said. I said, all of these people, because I was getting really frustrated with this whole freaking lack of judgment. I'm like, okay, that's a lie. It was kind of like the forgiveness lie, right? It's, and why is it a lie? Because yes, we are allowed to make judgments. We shouldn't be making judgments on like stupid stuff, like, you know, oh, I don't like her hair, those are stupid shoes, what, you know, or somebody doesn't have enough money, or, you know, where they live. But you actually can judge people on their character and who they are and how they behave. If they're doing terrible behaviors, absolutely judge. You're going to judge. That is natural. That is part of discernment. And
that's your job, to know when to make good choices.
Absolutely.
Because you use your judgment.
Yes, but so
they don't want you judging. They don't want you using judgment. They don't want you using good judgment.
Exactly. And that's why it's in religion, and it's like, oh, judge not lest you not be judged, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? If we don't make judgments, then we're going to let them walk all over us, because we're not allowed to judge.
Which they have.
Which is what they want. That's why it's in there. That's why it's in the Bible.
Totally.
That's why it's in the whole New Age movement. This whole don't judge, just observe. That's what I have for that. No, we need to make a judgment call.
I didn't know you knew sign language.
Just a few choice words. I may not be Italian. I know some of theirs too, you know.
There you go. So you're right about the judgment, and I remember the school system when they put in all this LBGT, elemental P nonsense. What does Premier Wynne come out and say? Oh, tolerance. We have to be tolerant of everybody, right? That's just
putting up with any of this shit.
You're not to attack them for their offside behavior, right?
Absolutely. And you know, the key is I used to say this all the time, and it's funny because it's so true. Because I actually said, this was years ago. It's really hard to know who the good guys are and the bad guys are, because good people do bad things and bad people do good things. So there's kind of but good people make mistakes. And then when they realize they made a mistake, they'll own it. Right. The bad people, they just keep making the mistakes. And I think this is where we're actually seeing the light shine. It doesn't mean that we're never going to make mistakes. Absolutely. I'm going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Everybody here, we've all made mistakes already in our past, right? We haven't always been
it's not even about making mistakes, because sometimes things change and people do change, but it's about, are you still doing the behavior now? Are you still manipulating and playing the games now? Yeah. That's the like, I wonder how many in the medical community, with all this nonsense that's going on with the injectables, like, do you honestly know that maybe what you're doing is wrong, but you do it anyways because you want a paycheck? Own your shit. Like, I am totally 100% into owning your own choices within pretending that you don't know. You know what I mean? But this is discernment. So discernment can go many ways. It can be discerning your own behavior. It can be discerning or judging your own behavior, even judging other people's behavior. Do you like who you are? Do you like what you stand for? Do you like the values that you that you align to? And understand, when you have definable boundaries and you know who you are, other people might try to come in and befriend you and take you down because of that. So you still have to use discernment and just stop assuming everybody's nice. Doesn't mean everybody's got an agenda against you either. I'm not implying that at all.
And the kicker is
need discernment, especially.
No, absolutely. And when you have firm boundaries, the funny thing is, and this is something I've noticed as my boundaries have become a lot more clearer, those who used to trespass on you, and I like that word because, you know, it's coming into,
that's what they're doing.
Yeah, they're trespassing against you. When you actually put the boundaries up, you become the bad guy. Like, how dare you?
How dare you stand up for yourself?
How dare you stand up for yourself? How dare you have an opinion on what I'm doing to you? Like, again, you know, my sign language comes up. So, and they'll turn you into the bad guy. but that's okay.
So you have to know not to fall for it energetically, emotionally, master your emotions. You put up that wall. So go back to the emotions and you send an energetic you back. And some people would say, well, that's not very nice. Yeah. Sometimes you have to match the intensity of what they send to you so that they know that you're not taking it. Right.
Not taking this
so
stuff
there's a comment here about the LBGT. Here's a good example, right? They say they make up 3 to 4%, which I think that's even high, but they're trying to imply that it's 50%. You know, there's an example of a manipulation, but it's your judgment that says no. The exception, when the exception is the rule, you know, you've got an inverted society. And that's what the Toronto Protocol was all about, right? Trying to destroy the family, destroy organic sexuality, the male and female energies, all of that. It's all about confusing the future generations so that they can have babies born in a test tube or a pod or whatever, right? Just destroy the organic human. But when we know that, we say, no, we're not buying that, right? Especially when you're teaching it to the younger generations, because that's basically what kind of a society has to manipulate the full generations at every age. So I just watched a video. I'm going to jump a little here a bit. A video of a woman. She was in the UK and she was having stress. I'm not sure she was pregnant, but I don't think the baby was ready to come. But she was having stress responses, which maybe were contractions. I don't know why she was there. And the nurses came right out and said, we're going to vaccinate your baby as soon as it's born. She ended up leaving, walking out. She goes, this is my property. You're not touching my baby. You're not doing that. And they said, yeah, we are standard procedure now. You know, so it's not just our own discernment. You have to look at who other people lack discernment and stay away from them. Don't go near them. So as much as possible. So if she's that pregnant that she's due anytime, how much time is she going to have to find a birthing doula who isn't indoctrinated? I know a birthing doula who buys into the LBGT thing. A baby can be any sex. So just because they have a title and they have a certain skill set doesn't mean their integrity is in place or their common sense is intact, right? So it's just you know, lots to consider. Lots to consider with
absolutely. And we are, and I'm just going to say, we are allowed to make a judgment call. Don't go crazy. I mean, I'm not saying free license to judge everything and everyone. I'm saying, but we do need to be able to have, that is the point of discernment, is making a judgment call. And it's about feeling your way through it. It's about creating those boundaries. And then, you know, when somebody crosses them, you are going to have to make a judgment call too on if they're going to be allowed to stay in your life, if they're not going to, respect your boundary. Yeah. And so this is that's also that self-mastery too. In it maybe not, well, actually your emotions come into it too, because when you actually when you know where your boundaries are and you're standing firm, it's so much easier to say, no, that's not going to be okay. And not let it become personal, right? Because this isn't about you. It's about them.
Can you repeat that just because you cut out for a bit? I'm not sure if everybody else saw that you cut out, but for me, you cut out. And just if anybody missed that, we're having a bit of trouble with the internet here today.
I was saying it's self-mastery, basically. At the end of the day, it's about self-mastery. Totally. When you actually have self-mastery, you have your boundaries. And people coming into them, you actually then, when they'll you know, when you say, man, that's as far as you can go, they will try to sling things. But when you have that self-mastery,
totally, you're going to become public asshole number one.
Like, you're the ones who's making the decisions on if you continue to have them in your life or not, if they're continually trying to battle through your boundaries and take them down. You know, these are judgment calls we need to make, right? And then as we master ourselves, it becomes less emotional and just, this is a fact. This is how it is. And this is where we're moving.
This isn't going to be forever that you have to do this. It's because some people have accumulated a lifetime of dysfunctional people around them. So they start through, and I'll give an example, just recent betrayal, doesn't matter. That person is no longer in my life, but I also have to look at everybody we mutually have in common, because that person has to go and trash me now with everybody else because I'm the asshole, right?
Yeah.
Figured out the game. So now I got to watch and see who falls for it. They go too. It's not personal. If you're that stupid that you fell for that and you don't know who I am and what I stand for and you don't ask me what went on, that's okay. Bye-bye. That's my boundary. Right? I haven't got time. I'm not a babysitter anymore.
Exactly.
So it's interesting.
And you know what? And it's funny that because people will tell stories and they're not necessarily true, or not tell the whole story to manipulate other people away from it. Yeah, to protect themselves and their own ego and persona. Sorry, somebody wants to go down.
And I'm to the point that I don't even care anymore if you're that gullible that you fall for this stuff, because they might have their own agenda for falling for it too, that they don't want to change. It's okay. Yeah. They're allowed.
Well, there's all kinds of reasons, and it's not, and you know what, honestly, it's not up to us. It's like, you just have to, okay, it is what it is. Move on.
And discern for yourself what you will accept or not.
Yeah, we're in a huge change, a turning point in humanity, I believe. And this, in 2021, I believe, is the turning point, is where we actually create those boundaries, where we come into our own, we start to really master ourselves on every level, emotionally, spiritually,
physically, mentally,
exactly. Every aspect we're actually starting to learn. And that's the key here. We have to learn to master ourselves and stand in our own power. And how do we
were given emotions? And we were given emotions for a reason. We're given emotions so that we can feel. That's part of what is being beautiful about being human, that we can feel our emotions. I don't know if all species can feel them the same way we do or not. I'm not trying to imply that I know that information or not, but that's the idea, that we feel them. So to have them shamed is the same as what you're talking about. If you catch on to somebody's nefarious behavior, they have an ill intention and they're trying to cross your boundaries, and you catch on, they always go to the shame, because it's the lowest on the map of consciousness. It's the lowest frequency. They want to take you down. But the idea is that you don't have to get involved in the drama. Just be grateful that, hey, I could see this one before it landed and caused me any grief.
Or even you can actually watch that pattern, that when you do create your boundaries and they can't get in, and then they create this story around it, what a bitch you are, or whatever. The shaming part that comes afterwards. And when you see the pattern, then you can kind of go, there you go. There they're at it. And it doesn't it doesn't land then when you actually are, you being the observer, instead of taking it into, oh my gosh.
And these games are the same. This is the game of evil, of darkness, of shallowness, of weak people. So the game is the same for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're the president of a country or a corporation, or you're the frontline worker or whatever. If you are standing up for yourself, or you're not buying the narrative, shame is what they do to make you feel bad so that you fall back in line. But when you figure all this out, you don't fall for it anymore. You just laugh it off. And once you laugh it off, now you find you're going to create space in your vacuum, in your field of people around you. So you can invite in people who resonate with you at your level, where you're at now, that aren't playing the games. So you're just cleaning house is all you're doing. With some of those
exactly.
people.
And that's the big part of what we've been doing for the last year and a half. I think we've all, and it's been really devastating, especially early on. I think as we've all grown, it's becoming a lot easier, I hope. And some of us, like Deb is cleaning house right now. And, but everybody is going to start to show themselves for who they are. And then, like I've said before, we need to, when they show us, we need to believe them. Again, remember, good people do bad things, bad people do good things. So we have to use our discernment to know if this is just a slip up, or is this a pattern.
But good people who do bad things recognize they've made a mistake. They apologize. They don't ask for forgiveness. They will apologize and say, I'm sorry I did this. I didn't realize the impact it would have had on you. Yeah. You don't say, oh, please forgive me. But then you observe, if they do it again, once is a situation. If they apologize and they repeat it, you got to look at, why are they repeating it? Is there something missing in their psyche that they haven't cleaned out? But that does not mean that you become fodder and become best friends with them, because their intentions are good, but they still have to master their own behavior and emotions and make sure that they aren't sending out negative anything to anyone. That's not just you, right? But you don't want to be around and watch somebody. You don't want to be around somebody that you watched insult somebody else and take another person down. That's just the same as if they did it to you. It's a mark against us as humans, right? To watch somebody belittle another person or talk about them behind their back.
Yep. Yeah. And it is, and we have to, again, use discernment, because everybody's on a sliding scale, right? We're not all at the same level. And so we will, somebody might be trying, they're working on themselves, and they might still make the same mistakes they did before. They pick themselves up. They might do it a couple of times, and then they figure out that, it's just all, but that's where discernment and making that judgment, is this intentional, or is this bad behavior from before, learned behavior that they're trying to work through and get out of, because sometimes, what's
interesting too? So, you know, expanding on that, what's interesting is sometimes people will have great boundaries at work because they didn't experience abusive behaviors in their career life, their career. So they have great boundaries at work. They know what they're doing. They're articulate. They're confident, but they might not have great boundaries in a certain environment. Maybe it's extended family because there was abusive patterns there from the past, maybe verbal abuse or whatever, right? Or insults that fly and just people think it's funny, or it could be just bad boundaries. So they're insecure in that environment. So, so it's important that everybody look at themselves. When I say everybody, whoever everybody is, but look at yourself and say, where am I confident? I'm really confident at work. Why? Because there's never been any shenanigans that you've experienced. I know other people who've been decimated in their work environment. They've been set up by different people. They want them promoted. They're fine in their personal life, but work is a nightmare because they didn't know how to set boundaries with somebody and say, wait a minute.
And some have it in both. Some have it in both. Because they've
no,
never
no right or wrong. We're just pointing out that it's different for everybody. That's what we're pointing out.
Absolutely. And if you're on this journey, right, you know, this journey to awakening, we're not just awakening to what's going on in the world, we're awakening to ourselves. And that's the most important part, is we're awakening to ourselves. That's the key. And figuring out who we are, what we are. And that's part of the mastery. When we wake up to ourselves, then we can start to master who that is without all the junk. You know, and if you go through our series that we've done together, Sandy, I mean, it took everybody right from, you know, the reprogramming and this, and like the trust, the forgiveness. I mean, gosh, we've been doing this for months. We've been doing this for months already. And it's like, it is like almost like a course you can take and like walk through all the different layers. And as we start to learn how to create those boundaries, we start to master ourselves.
And be more confident.
That is the awakening, because now when we awaken to ourselves, we awaken to the bullshit that's going on around the world, because we see now with open eyes. When we can see ourselves, we can see everything.
And we have to see how beautiful we are and how confident we deserve to be. We see all the good. We can see what's we're not proud of, but we can work on that too, right? So it's not just one or another, right? So sin of omission, that's another one. That's just another lie, right? I like how I forgot about that one. And Joe's talking about what is happening with the president down in the States, and he doesn't matter. The fact he's putting on unvaccinated people, that is indicating you have a weakness, a chink in your auric armor, like your aura, that people can get in because they know that's your hot button. Here's the other thing. You do not show when you're dealing with, I'm going to call it greater dysfunction. So we're talking about mastering your emotions. You do not show what you want. You do not show what you're afraid of, because that's where the darkness comes in and will start attacking you. So they want to put it on the unvaccinated people. I've been up here for a while, but I'm fortunate enough to go into town a couple of times. I walk around like I own the place. I don't wear anything. Nobody's made a comment. That's like, you can wear it. I don't care. I'm not here to tell you what to do. So it's really interesting how we handle ourselves.
And remember,
we're taking a run at us when we're confident.
I also think that a lot of this big push everywhere, like this is global. This isn't just in the United States. It's in Canada. It's in Europe. It's in Africa. It's in South America. It's in Australia. It's everywhere. It is very organized. It is crazy. But why are they amping this up? Why? You have to ask yourself. Now think about it. It's because they're losing control. And this is how they try to take back control, is to re-amp up the fear. Don't allow it. Just go, F you, Jack. That's not flying for me. Sorry, baby. Okay. Yeah, I'll get you in a minute.
Agrees with you.
She's saying, yeah, F you, Jack. Not you, Jack. Right, so you know what I mean.
This is not Jack in the room. We don't fall. So this is the idea that when it's not just about telling them off, it's about not getting sucked into the drama, their drama that they're trying to create. And you master your emotions by not going into it and really asking yourself the questions, you know, what do you need? What do you want? What's right for you? And you know, like I don't get into it with anybody.
No, but you can't let you can't let it affect you. And who was it that said that?
So there's different levels of letting it affect you, but some of this is still old programming. So where I am, I can't believe I'm even going to say this, but I'm talking to the one guy who brought me into my spot. Anyways, and he starts talking. He says, where I am, that this is the highest COVID rates in the country, right? And I'm going, really? Because you're also spread apart. Like, you know, like there's not a lot of big towns around here. Well, you know what it is? it's the Indian reservation. I go, what? He goes, none of them got vaccinated and people are going to get smokes and they come back and they're giving it to everybody else. And it's like the biases of other people. So is that racism or is that a bias? I don't know. But I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh, not that again. Blame it on the Indians, right? It's like, are we still back at that? But in some places we are. And then I thought about Henry Hillebrand when he spoke up. He's a Mennonite that was at the rallies in Toronto. Well, then, so this is the media that's doing this. I want to point this out too. The media is the one who's hyping a lot of this up. Well, they turn around and say in the local hospitals, all in this area, like whether it's Stratford, you know, Kitchener, Cambridge, Wingham, where all of these hospitals, Walker, and they're saying it's the Mennonites that got the COVID. So they're blaming the whole community because one of the leaders spoke up. This is what evil looks like. This is why we master it, so we don't fall for this stuff. When you sit back, you watch their games, and by watching their games, we're going to be get really good at not falling for it going forward.
But it should also show you. But I think then my point in what I said was it should show you that they're losing control of the narrative. That's why they're amping up the narrative. And instead of becoming afraid of the narrative, you should be laughing because they're losing control. And that, when they're like going to the extremes, like you think about Mark Cohn, or whatever his name in France, saying, you know, you won't be able to shop, you won't be able to do this, you can't even vote. It's like, are you for real? Like, how scared are you? How scared are you that you're going to go to that level to try to frighten people into doing what you want? You know, it is laughable. I'm sure it's terrible. And there's tons of people stepping up, and that's what needs to happen in a peaceful way. Definitely peaceful. Always, you know, they want us to fight, and don't give them the fight. Just say no. It's actually creating that boundary. That's what these people and these marchers are doing. They're saying no can do, but they're not hurting anybody. They're not looting. They're not setting fires. They're doing everything.
But now that you've said that, they'll have to loot and set fires and start fighting. And
No. We need to stay strong and in our boundaries, and our boundaries are not to hurt. That doesn't hurt the government. It hurts the individuals. When you actually,
what I'm saying, I agree with you 100%, Betty, 100%. But what I'm saying, when you say, oh, look, we're not looting, well, then we'll give you looting. Do you know what I mean? That's how evil works, how it thinks. When you point out and say, well, look at how good this is. Oh, well, then we'll have to give you that and give you some bad.
Well, so that's the BLM and Antifa and the Sunrise Movement. That's what they're doing. And that if they bring, I mean, and they will be bringing out their minions to do, if they have any left, because I remember hearing that they were marching after the election because they weren't getting paid. So money's drying up, and these people don't do this stuff unless they're getting paid. So,
well, they had the money, but they gave it all to the Democrat running for office. They collected how much money, but they didn't get it. So it's interesting, right?
Yeah, well, on BLM, you saw that the leader is the one who ended up with lots of houses. Were they helping anybody in the community that they said they were? Nope. Yeah. Nope. So again, you'll see by their actions. They show you who they are. They show you. It's so obvious. And so we can look at it, sit back and look at it and just go, wow, they're scared. Look at the new narrative. Look how hard they're pushing. They're very scared. And that gives you strength, because instead of leading into the fear, you're observing their behavior. And what does that behavior mean?
And so, and you learn from the patterns, and you start to see their method of operation. You start to see how they do it, and you realize they all do it the same way. They all dupe the same way. They all use either honeypots, or they use, they'll send diseases to people, or, you know, they'll hurt them financially. There's only so many tricks they have up their sleeve. But now we're starting to see somebody speaks up, boom, they get a deterrent. But it's often hidden as something else, or disguised as something else. Oh, now you've got an IRS problem, right? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. It's just.
Oh, yeah. Or you're picked up for something that you didn't do. Because I've been hearing that too. And, you know, it's beyond the financial piece. I mean, people are, you know, it's becoming a little crazy. It's about staying safe, stay within, you know, well, you feel comfortable, because we're all called to do, and I've said this before many times, we're all called to do different things at different times in this war. And it is a war. It's a war on your mind and your soul. And then don't give them the power over either one. Yeah. And when we fall into fear, we're giving them power. And that's where we really have to start to see their playbook is like, it's been the same forever. We just didn't know it was a playbook, that we're keep following, you know, slightly different storyline, but basically the same, you know, problem,
Time to take
Reaction,
some
solution,
of the
problem, reaction, solution, problem, reaction, solution. We got it all. We got the problem, we got the reaction, we got the solution.
now. We need you to go along, and if you don't, we're going to hurt you.
Yeah, but there's too many.
Hey, I have
of
an
us
idea.
now.
Why don't you just screw me? But we love you. Like, this is all the mind screwery that they're doing, that they try to tell you, we're doing this because we love you, but you know they're trying to kill you, and then that's when people's psyche fractures, because you know it's not true, right? So there's a lot of comments here. I'm talking about people outside of yourself. So comment about Gene Decode and saying who this Romana is. So the problem when you empower a comment like that is what happens is you try to imply that everybody else should be following that. I don't follow her. Romana Dildo means nothing to me. I did not elect her in.
Did you just call her Romana Dildo?
What's her last name?
Sorry.
I don't know what her last name is. I can't see.
Diddalo, but you called her Dildo.
So maybe that was a play on the words. I don't know, right? But so my point is, when we start honoring and worshiping other people, oh, so-and-so says, who cares? Some people are right some of the time, some of them are right more, some are right less. Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean everybody's right all the time. But every time we look outside of ourselves, what did Biden say? What does Gene say? What does so-and-so say? You're not in your body. I mean, you're not in your body. You're not feeling the energy, and you're not in command of your emotions. You're not managing your emotions by watching everything there. We should talk about some techniques.
And honestly, you're giving your power away, like people like, and there's nothing wrong with Gene, whatever, but we can't, I mean, I don't watch everything he puts out. It's always the same stuff every week anyway, either. So it's like, whatever. And I don't believe everything he says. I don't believe everything that anybody says when they're all these truthers.
It's not personal.
It's not personal. It's not like I have anything. I have nothing against the man, but you know what? Intel is not getting leaked from these guys. I'm just gonna say this. It's not. It's not. And to think that it is crazy talk. And you know,
look at Jeff. So there's a comment here. Look at Jeff Bezos' rocket. That was also shaped like a dildo. Like, how much more obvious can they make all this stuff? You know what I mean?
I know.
Biden's an idiot. He's not the same person he was 2 years ago. But it's not that his personality's changed. Like, he's not the same person he was 2 years ago because he's an actor. He
doesn't even look the same. Okay.
So why are we giving?
Listen, if you close your eyes, if you're not sure about Presidente there, the fake one, don't even look at his face, even though his face is completely different. Listen to the voice. Go to an old video of him speaking and then listen to. Just listen, close your eyes and listen to the voice. It's not the same. Same with Obama. Oh my goodness. All right. TV was on. I was not watching it here, but he was being interviewed a few weeks ago. And I was in the other room. I could hear this voice. And I'm like, this voice is vaguely familiar, but not. I'm like, who the frick is this? And I went and looked and I'm like, that's not his voice. There's hints of it.
Interesting.
But it's not him. It's the wrong tone. You know, the octave is off. There's something, the vibration of it. I'm like, that's not him. And then I realized it's not even the looks. You got to close your eyes. When you don't see the person speaking, everybody would know his voice. I mean, we heard it for 8 years, right? All the time. It wasn't his voice. It sounded somewhat like him, but it wasn't him. You know what I mean?
Really good catch, Betty, for people. A great idea for people, instead of trying to look and discern with your vision.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Don't even look at them, because without being able to see, it actually was stronger. Because once you see that person, you're starting to associate. It's the disassociation that makes it actually more powerful. I found it was like wild.
Interesting. Yeah. Really good point, right?
Yeah.
So, and we're talking about what the other followers are worshiping. Who cares who the other followers are worshiping? The idea is that we all learn to do this for ourselves, right? And when we understand that we discern for ourselves what we want in our life, what we believe, what we know our rights are to be, that's when we start to empower ourselves. And it doesn't matter who's following who. That's still the old herd mentality, in my opinion. Like, that's what I see that as. I'm not saying I'm right. I know how to get inside myself, and I'm learning how to observe. And something that came up recently is, why are certain things happening to me? And I realized what is, I'm here, and it just came up to me this week. I'm here to discern, to see how the game is played. I'm here to help disseminate dominate and show people, no, this is the game. This is what darkness looks like. These are the 5 or 10 strategies they use, this kind of information, so that we can all empower ourselves. But I had to feel it and embody it.
Yeah. Yeah.
People, this is how you don't fall for it yourself. And I'm not judging myself. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying, why is this happening? But that was one of the reasons. There's a few other reasons.
Oh yeah, it's wild. And Joe, yes, I get your point was to that. What was it? They're getting desperate and blame those to follow and uprising of the sheep. You're absolutely right, Joe.
So
see with your ears. Yeah, it was crazy because that was just by chance. I wasn't in the room. I just heard and I was like, who the hell is talking? Because I didn't know the voice. It sounded somewhat familiar, but it was like, I don't know. Something's funny about it. And then I went to look and I went, oh, that's not him.
Interesting.
Didn't even have to know the face. Yeah. And so I would actually highly recommend. And then I noticed that same with Joe. Joe was the same thing. I listened. I was like, oh, forget about the face, even though the face looks nothing alike. The voice is not the same. Similar, but not the same.
And I find I'll go in and listen to certain people. So some of the people put sound bites out, like Santa Surfing will put a sound bite out of what Biden said. And I'm like, okay, I can hear that, but it doesn't mean it lands. I want to know the narrative. I want to know what the context. What do you call it? Maybe the next step or the next stunt they're going to pull based on whatever. So yeah, so they're going to try to get the sheep to go after the people who aren't masking or the non-vaxxers. I don't tell anybody what I do. It's nobody's business.
No.
So I don't tell anybody. So they're going to say you can't go shopping. So then don't go shopping. And I'm not saying cave in, but order your stuff online where you can. Find a farmer that's selling stuff in the vegetables in the summer. Start canning your own vegetables. Put the fuckers out of business. Oh, yeah. Oh, we're supposed to be supportive of all these people. It's like, no, we're not. There's other options available, right? So if it's going to get stupid, it's not going to get stupid because the sheep are weaker than the ones standing up. They're tired too. They're tired of getting mad at everybody because they're docile. They're sheep. They're tired of standing up. They're tired of pointing at people. So I go into a place yesterday and I walk around. People looked at me. I looked at them. No problem. But not one of them gave me a dirty look. They're tired of this too. They're tired of fighting. They're not fighters. Most humans aren't fighters. The ones who are fighting are the ones who are putting all this nefarious stuff in play, or the ones who are getting off on it. Like they're hiring corporate security guards now to act like police or whatever, right? Running around causing people pain, but they're getting off on it. That's the difference between those people. Yeah. Most sheep are docile. They want to be left alone. They want this to end. If they had any balls, they would have stood up already. They don't. So we're significantly stronger than them.
And I think we're at the point where, and a few people have said this, this is, I think, where we're going to start to see leaders. I think Cliff High brought it up for August. August is where natural leaders are going to start to come up. And actually, believe it or not, Joni Petrie was saying that right now with Jupiter, the way it's aspecting Mars, I believe, or yes, Jupiter and Mars.
I haven't watched it recently.
I think she put it out yesterday. And that this is about leadership and new leadership standing up. And I think that's within our circles. And it doesn't mean, and I use it loosely because what we all have to do is become, again, masters of ourselves. And we are our own leaders. Yes, there are people who are going to lead you into battle or, whatever, or down, whatever. But regardless of who's leading a large group, you need to be able to lead yourself. And at any given time, if that's going the wrong way, you turn. You have to do what's right for you. We're walking away from this herd mentality. There will always be some sort of leader, but we have to lead ourselves and choose where we go and how we do it.
Look at it both ways, right? So I agree totally with what you're saying, but look at it. If you are a leader, do you want to choose leaders or people who you're going to rely on, who you got to tell them everything they got to do? Or do you want a self-starter? You want somebody who you're going to be able to say, I need this, this, and this. And they're going to find whatever way that's ingenious and stays within integrity to get it done so that they can bring that forth and then somebody else brings something else forth. But you got to be a self-leader. I was told one time, the one company I worked for, I said, I really don't ask you for my, they go, we can't believe. And I go, if I had a question, I'd come and ask you. I want you to tell me the answer. I have to know how to do it for myself. So I will go and do it, but just tell me what I need to know. And they're like, yeah, you take no work to show you how to do this stuff. And it's like, that's not the point. I want to know how to do it for myself. So when the time comes, I don't need other people I don't need babysitters. You know, that's just my style. But we should all be looking for that. But if you're leading, you want people who can pull their weight.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, managing many people over the years, that is actually something I remember seeing a lot. And you see it even in like chats. It's like, oh, well, where's that? What's that? Well, where do you find it? And it's like, don't know how to get to the, we've got to learn to just figure things out. I remember, you know, the first time I had to do a pivot table. I've never done a freaking pivot table on Excel. This was back in the, oh gosh, probably late 90s, early 2000s. And so what did I do? I Googled it. Google wasn't around back then, but I looked it up, and I followed, I actually printed it off, and I followed the directions, and boom, I had a pivot table. And then I knew how to do it. I didn't go ask somebody who did it. I actually wanted to learn for myself. And when managing a lot of people, what I found is a lot of people just want everything handed to them. How do I do this? Where do I find that? It's like, everything is right there. I've given you everything.
But it also depends on your learning style. I'm an auditory learner. Tell me and I know. It takes you 2 minutes. Don't give me a manual. I'm not going to read the thing. Do you know what I mean? So everybody's got their own learning style. Some people want to go in and investigate. So in certain things in computer, it's easier. In other things, depending on what you're doing, you need somebody to tell you. Sometimes you need somebody to physically, depending on the task you're doing, to physically show you. Or you might have a few different styles. So don't feel because if you don't learn a certain way, there's anything wrong with what you're doing. It's the fact that you've got the initiative to get out there.
It's usually a trend. Always the same people coming back for the same information.
Totally.
Totally. So then definitely a trend. It's not a one-off, because I used to just give it, you know, oh, here it is, here it is, here it is. And then it's realized it's like, why is it always the same people coming back, and other people get it? And it's like, always, they just want everything given to them. You know, the little birds with their mouths open. Oh, mommy, feed me.
So, but that's okay. That's okay, because then you know that they're not probably going to be able to help you with certain things. Maybe they'll help with other things, great for moral support or whatever. But so you start to look at if you're starting to move in a certain direction.
Actually, those are the people, Sandy, you're cutting out, but those are the people I actually used to then coach into learning how to take care of themselves and showing them how to do that. So that I said, it's not that I won't come, but I want you to show me that you have tried to find the information that you need. And it was about teaching them that they have to learn how to be self-reliant, because I'm not always going to be there, or somebody isn't always going to be there with all the answers. You need to find out how you get them. They're not hidden. And that is that self-mastery. And it's not, you know what? That's how you become sheep, because you're always relying on somebody else to put the food in your mouth, period. So that's how you become sheep. We don't want to be sheep. We want to be able to, if we lead nothing else, we lead ourselves and make sure that we have everything we need. And we lost Sandy, so hopefully she'll be back. Yeah, I know she's frozen on the screen. How many words mute? Well, that's good, Kyra. You're right. But here, Sandy's back. Boop, boop. Anyway, we're getting Sandy. I know you having some struggles with your internet, but you know what?
Sorry,
everybody seems to be enjoying, just because we're up to the hour here. And I'm actually thinking, does anybody have any questions? Because guess what? We have a treat. Both Sandy and I use dowsing rods, and often when we're talking and we're not sure about something, we will both pull them out and see if both of them give us the same answer. And it's crazy. 9 times out of 10, we do get the same answer, don't we, Sandy? She's still there, but why don't you guys see? Is there anything you want to ask our little ones as we go forward? Because I think we've done I think we've covered most of it. And self-mastery, I actually think maybe instead of mastering our emotions, I might change the title to self-mastery, because that's really more of what we talked about. And but do you have your little your dowsing rods? Sandy's are a little different than mine. Anybody got questions? Questions?
You know what's one of the things we didn't talk about yet was when you want to master your energy, how important it is to monitor your own breathing. And this is one that has come up a fair bit, and that was one of the books I've been touching base on this week, is when we breathe and we focus on our breath. Our breath is what brings spirit into our body. That's why they want everybody masked, so you're not connecting your soul energies, right? But when you breathe in, what are you thinking about? Some people use the word God, some people use creator, universe, but breathe that energy in and breathe it right into your belly by putting your hands on your lower abdomen. Breathe in creator. Breathe out peace. Breathe in creator and breathe out love. Breathe in creator or God, whatever word you're using. Breathe out harmony. And this is what gets you back to center and back into your body, so that you can, if for some reason information is taking you out of yourself, it brings you back to yourself. And if you can sit there, so I'm trying to do this a couple days ago. I'm trying to do this for as long as I can, and then 2 minutes later my mind goes into monkey mode and off I go, and then I come back, right? So it's just kind of funny how we can command our energy and our emotions by bringing our attention inward. So I wanted to share that one tip. Who knows how long my internet's going to work here again. It was fine the other day.
Grab your wands, and I'm going to actually add to that also, if you are feeling like you're in monkey mind or something is stressing you out, what I often do too with the breath is I breathe in the harmony, the peace, the joy, you know, that the divine essence, and I breathe out whatever it is that is not serving me in that moment. So if it's, you know, frustration, breathe out the frustration, breathe out the whatever it is that you're feeling that isn't making you feel good. Let that go as you breathe in. Breathe in the things you want, breathe out the things you don't want. This is another way to do it too. But I do like the breathing out, like almost like you're breathing in what you need, and then when you breathe out, releasing the love into the air, or to the harmony, into the ethers, right? I like both of them. But if you're feeling a little edgy, breathe that out and take in the good also. It's depending where you're at, right? So
and use your breathing and you're focusing on your breath.
Yeah.
So what are we going to talk? What do we want to know about today?
Well, SRS wants to know about the wanted to know about the rains on the West Coast and when they're going to come. But Noletta says breathe in and out 3 times, then just say fuck it. It works lately. LOL. And I love that because I know we talked about it. I'm like, it actually does work. I actually have tried it myself, and I shake it all off and I fuck it when you're really pissed. And the peace that comes over you, and you're like, okay, I can move on now. No longer bothering me. But let's see. The West Coast rains. All right, let me just ask if I can. Are we okay to ask these questions?
There's many ways.
Yes. Okay, show us yes. Show us no. So you guys know out there what yes and no looks like. I'm going to go here.
So her no is outward, mine is parallel.
The West Coast drought. Is the West Coast?
No? So wrong, right? Just as long as you had to read.
When will it rain? Okay, so these are only like yes and no or timing questions. So let's ask, is it going to rain? Is the drought going to end in the West Coast?
Is it being intentionally?
Oh, what do you want to know? Is it going to intentionally dry? I got yes.
Is it intentionally being manipulated? Totally. I didn't even have to use the rods for that one.
Yeah.
So we know. So here's the problem with that question too, though, because we don't know what their intention is. So when we ask that question, when are the droughts going to stop? You're going to have water in the West Coast this year? Yes, but it's not going to be the way you want it.
Is it going to be in the form of rain?
So whether it's going to be,
is it going to be in the form of rain? That actually said no.
No,
I got a no too. So is the drought going to end though in the next, let's say 3 months? I get yes. In the next 3 months.
I think no, but are they going to be flooding it?
You got yes too?
We're asking different questions. Are they going to be flooding that area? They're going to flood that area too.
Okay, so you're going to. So it's going to end in the next 3 months.
They're going to be flooding.
There was more going on and with Simone Biles than her mental health issues. As to which she was pulled into the Olympic competition, was she threatened or something like that? I don't know who I haven't been following anything in the Olympics. The Olympics actually are disgusting me right now, so I don't even bother to pay attention to what's going on. So can we point out some? Was she threatened? Okay, yeah, she was. She was pushed to do whatever it is she did. I don't know what she did.
So my understanding, if I'm thinking about the right person, I haven't watched this, but is this one that they were giving lower marks to because she was really good? I don't know if that's
I don't know
person that you're talking.
I have no clue. And, you know, let us know, who is she? Something with the Olympics.
The Orgon generators, people say can bring rain.
Oh, didn't you think it was funny? Our first. Did you see? The only thing I did see was it popped up. Our first medalist was Asian. And I have nothing against Asians. I really don't. Some of my best friends are Asian, but with the narrative in Canada, basically we've been sold to China. It's funny that there was a Chinese girl in Canada who won the first medal. Just saying. I think that was done on purpose. Yeah.
I haven't.
Are the Olympics even really happening? Are the Olympics really happening right now? No, they're not. I got no. What do you get, Sandy? Sandy, what do you get?
What's going on with the Olympics? Is it really on right now? No. Is it just more theater for us?
Yeah. Yeah, I get theater. It's theater. This is to push their narrative on some level. Yeah, it's to push the narrative. But I think ratings are probably very low. I actually think that are they remarkably low for the Olympics, the ratings. Yep. This nothing is working for them. They thought after a year of, you know, everything being down and no entertainment that we would be like, oh, Olympics, yay, let's watch them. No, I think we're all done. I think a good part of the population is done with it. Everything.
I hear you.
Simone Biles is considered the GOAT gymnast for the USA team. Okay. Ratings are tanking on the Olympics. Yes. No surprise. Yes. Lots of fake rain, Aletta. I have to agree. Is there really going to be blackouts? I asked this on Wednesday, but I got, yes, there will be. But I also got that they're not all. They're going to be rotating. I got that they were going to be. Are they going to be all at the same time worldwide? No. No, they're going to be rotating everybody. The timing will be staggered, different countries and different regions. I got that on Wednesday with Patty too. Somebody had asked that question. Anything else?
Question about the Orgon generators. If anybody's familiar with the work of William Reich, that was part of the problem. They had him come out in the desert before they arrested him, and there's video of them arresting him. And he had an Orgon generator, and he created rain in the desert. And as he still had his machine out there, wherever he had created this generator, they had come and put him in handcuffs and put him in a car and took him away and put him in jail.
Wow.
So the generators work. There's also things that you can put in your backyard, and what they are is you put Orgon and you put copper pipes. Supposedly that, I can't remember if that keeps the 5G off or keeps the chemtrails. It's a chemtrail buster. So I know I've heard there's a person in Brantford who created one of these, and he had it in a big tub, like a metal tub in his backyard. It was on a farm, and he had all the copper pipes in this circled around. Well, the authorities came to his house because it was affecting the planes that were flying overhead. So this stuff works. I would say yes. How do you make it? I don't know. One time, and it originally worked, and then one of the pipes fell out and it stopped working. So I don't know, right? I don't have chemtrails anymore. So that technology is not new. But if you look up William Wright, generator creating rain, I think it was a rain dance that the First Nations, he helped them with. And it rained. So then he goes to jail, of course, because you're not allowed to do things the proper way.
No.
Right.
God forbid we be natural about it. Everything has to be synthetic. Come on.
Right on, James.
Everything has to be synthetic. 8.2 in Alaska. I know I mentioned that earlier on the West Coast in August.
There's so many quakes everywhere right now. So what's going to happen? August is going to be wet. Now, I'm not using that getting that from my L-rods. My astrologer said that because Cancer is going to be a big month for Cancer, which is ruled by emotions. So August is going to be a wet month everywhere.
I think it's going, yeah, August is going to be a big month, bigger than July. So July was emotionally a roller coaster. Yeah. Most emotional roller coaster for, I think, both sides, normies and, you know, us who are awake. Because I wouldn't consider you a normie. We're not normal. What they consider normal, I don't ever want to be.
I consider us normal and them not normal, but that's just another hijacking of the word normal, right? Just another word that got hijacked.
All right. So what are we asking?
I'm not sure. Anybody else have any questions? Are we?
Hey, Robin. I hope Robin just jumped on. Robin, I sent you an email. I hope you got it. Hope you found it interesting. Just want to make sure you got it. Yes, you can make your own Orgonite. It's pretty simple too. Actually, I did look it up. I haven't made any, but I have the resin. I don't have the copper, and you can get iron filings too, and all kinds of stuff. But I'm like, I mean, I know all the stuff I do. I'm like, do I really have time to make Orgonite too? I don't know.
So what is the question? The earthquake on the West Coast. So what's the earthquake on the West Coast? They've already know that Mount Shasta is not about to erupt, but it's active. There's all kinds of things that are starting to happen, right?
It is natural. I think this is Mother Earth. Mother Earth is purging right now.
Lost. She's telling you
she's
take
purging. Yeah, she's purging. Look, guys, it's a yes. It's a yes. Mother Earth is purging. They may be doing some fuckery of their own with weather and other things being manipulated, but Mother Nature is telling them, yeah, you think you got some power? Let me show you some muscle.
Yeah. And that's a lot of it. And we also know the solar energies coming in are bringing more awakening to people. So a lot of things are going to happen. And when we're looking at what's happening on the planet, it's not going to matter because it's going to come down to each and every one of us. What's happening in your world? Is your body set up that it can handle what's going on in terms of the new energies coming in? Do you have energy blocks where you've got a lot of pain in your body that energy is not flowing through? So I still every morning do the shower routine, let the water just flow through my body. I imagine it front to back and back to front. And I just imagine energy flowing through me, because as we start to bring more of our consciousness to that is going to be the flow of energy. We're helping program our bodies to be able to just let it all go. So when I do the water thing, I used to watch water flow through me, and it would come out if I put my back to the water, it would come out as like little spots and holes in a dam. So I knew I had problems in my back, but not in my front. So then so you just learn, you listen to your body, and then you realize, where's the energy block? Okay, because I'm not watching my back. So it teaches me, it taught me something, right?
Oh, that's brilliant. I do that every day too in the shower. I look forward to my shower to be, it's almost like a ritual that I do every day that is cleaning anything that's not serving me out. You can actually picture it going down the drain. Like also like bringing in like power and energy to get me, let's get us through another day. And, to be in step with my purpose. A lot of that is like bringing me in line with that. That's like kind of the intention. Like, what I don't need, bring in what I do need.
And this is great that people are asking questions about the outside, but do you notice Betty and I are bringing you right back inside yourself? You're trying to direct us out because that's the programming. We're saying, go back, master inside. And that's a great example. Betty was talking about the shower. That was Betty who brought that up to me a while ago, right? But this is how we do this. So Robin, you're saying your pain is through the roof. You have to look at that. What is the cause of the pain? Is it something you don't want to face? Is it something in the past, something in the present, something in the future? Does it have a physical element to it? Are you missing something? So there could be all kinds of reasons, but your answers are in your questions. But if your pain is through the roof, you want to know why, because it's only going to get more intense. So if you're working with Betty, like clear that, right? Find out what's the problem and clear it.
Yeah, well, we haven't been working together. I know that some of her health issues, she brought them up before, but absolutely, if you'd like to work with me, Robin, please, you have my email now. Reach out.
It's not about being tough. It's not about being a tough soul.
No, it's not. It's about if some of this is blocked energy or things in. You know what? Funny thing is sometimes it's not something that happened. It could be ancestral, past lives, things that are coming in, and things that you need to clear, old karma that you need to clear out. All kinds of stuff can come up. It's actually really, it's fascinating. I love the work I do. It's really fascinating, and it's great to see people actually like literally lift emotionally by the time we're done. And it's
And
like
when
a
you
little
get
bit
rid
more
of
every
that
time.
crap, it's amazing. It's not, half the time it's not yours. As you're saying, it's
I
ancestral.
know.
That's what people don't understand. They're afraid to go inside and feel the feelings.
Yeah.
But you have to do that to let them go. Fibromyalgia, my understanding, is just a wonky nervous system. There's something not firing properly on the nervous system. And that's just my interpretation, especially if it's got an energetic or a spiritual component to it. So I don't know what the answers are, but you want to go in and see, is there a root cause, a true cause for what you call fibromyalgia? Because somebody would have diagnosed that. So that doesn't mean that's what it is. That's just what you got told it is. And I'm not saying it's not that. So Ken's talking about earthquakes related to disposal of the dumps. Again, we're talking about outside. And Tarot by Janine just commented, I think a couple days ago, she was doing an interview and said that they're going to go after the dumps under the Great Lakes. So we might be experiencing water anywhere around the Great Lakes. We might be experiencing tsunamis or floods, flooding. Not tsunamis, floods, any of those things, right? So who knows? The idea is you prepare, you get organized physically, you prepare mentally, you prepare emotionally, and do the best you can do, right? That's what else can we do at this time? There's no safe place. If you look at the U.S. Navy flood maps, anybody want to look that up?
Hold on one sec, because I wanted to add something. There's only one thing we can control, guys, and that's us. We can't control the weather. We can't control what other people are doing, what other people believe. The only thing is ourselves. That's the only thing you can control. And so how we go through this and how we prepare emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So like we said before, the preparing in your home to make sure, regardless of what happens, that you're ready, then we can move forward. But don't be so, stay aware, but don't be so caught up in the outside world. Because when we master ourselves, we can walk through the fire.
And we're going to be walking through it, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't bring up the U.S. Navy flood maps to scare anybody because we've already got enough on our plate. But we don't know what's going to happen. There's so many different scenarios that can play out. And it really is going to depend on a lot of things. But just as Betty said, all we can do is look after ourselves and master our own emotions, stay in our own pillar. So when we start to see things that don't please us, I'll leave it that way, that we know that how to stay centered. That'll give us the best chance to survive anything.
Yeah. And Robin, you know what? Often it is like if you're on all kinds of stuff for your nervous system and maybe it is time to go in and see if there's some trapped emotions or things are out of balance energetically that we can tweak, right?
Totally, Joe. There's a place to go in, and when you do the emotion code or body code, you can go in and look and see if there's prescriptions that are on overload. But I'm not saying that's the biggest thing that you have to look at, but you look at the priorities first. That one might not be your number one priority. Maybe getting off some of those meds. I don't know what meds, and I'm not suggesting that as medical advice, but I know one woman I was working with had so many prescriptions. She went to a naturopath, and the idea was just getting her off of all of that. But she had to do it in a certain order based on what was prescribed. So, but there's definitely ways you can clear some of that energetically. But if you keep taking it every day, what are you clearing? Why are you clearing it? Do you know what I mean? Because then you're putting it right back in the next day. So I'm a little confused by that. So you're nervous.
And sometimes nothing will work unless if it is an emotional block or something else that's off kilter, nothing is going to really get it to where it needs to be till you get rid of that underlying cause. It's kind of like that root cause of so much is actually emotional blockages. So much that's the, and it actually it's like a ball in your body, in your body. And then so the energy has to go around it and it messes things up. The more we have, the more wonky things can get. But
so there's
anyway,
a lot of comments about being by the water. So the negative ions that come off the ocean, I think they come off the Great Lakes too. I'm assuming that they do. But it's such, so when you go down to the beach, you muscle test and you say, am I okay to go down there? Is there going to be shedding? The negative ions, in my opinion, combat the positive ions from metals, whatever have you. So it's a good place to be, but you go in and you test every time. So one beach I used to go to, I tried to go there not last weekend, the weekend before, and I got a no, but I got a no because something wasn't safe there. So there's something changing, whether there's more people there, I don't know. And it could be because there's dams. If the dams are being cleared out under that lake, I know Lake Erie, they say there's dams underneath there. If that's happening and there's going to be a bit of a, what do you call it? Like an explosion. I don't know if I want to be around that.
No, or maybe just the energy there was not right for you at that time, because if they are clearing out that there's stuff that's going to be bubbling up to the surface, and it may just affect you energetically, spiritually, right?
So, so all the above, right? So it doesn't matter. I didn't know about I knew about the DUMs then, but I didn't know they were being cleaned out.
I don't know, when did she put that out? I thought I watched everything Janine did.
There's a video she did with 2 women, and
I didn't watch that one.
Okay, so I can send you.
I think they're Australian, or Australian, or from the UK. The two, I don't even know their channel.
I don't know either, but at the very end, like the last 10 minutes or 20 minutes of it, that's when she talked about Canada and just said that they're going to go clear out the military bases here. So get out and have some fun, everybody. Get out and do what makes your heart sing. Go out and try to really enjoy yourself while you still can, because if something comes, then you've got the rest. At least you've given your system a rest in the meantime. That's what I would be suggesting. Yeah,
absolutely. We have, it's an amazing time to be alive. And I know we've all said that before, but for some reason this week, it's been like, I'm so lucky to be alive right now and to see what is happening. Yeah. We got front row seats to the greatest show on earth, guys. And it feels scary, but guess what? When it is going to take a long time. This is a very long show, but to clean it all up and to get where we need to be, this will all take time. But I think there's going to be something that's going to happen so fast, swift, and quick. I mean, Donald Trump said it is actually in the Bible too, that, when it comes, it will be like, like any other normal day. And then in a blink of an eye, it's done. It's going to be whoosh. And I don't remember exactly how it said in the Bible, but there's something basically like that. It'll be, and I know it's like any other day. Nothing special about it that day that it hits.
And I agree. And that's why you just enjoy the moment.
Yeah. We don't know. You can't prepare. We can prepare, but you can't sit there. Oh, is it today? Is it today? Yeah. Live your life. This is all you can do.
Hug a tree for sure. There's comments in here from James. Hug a tree. All these things that are just enough to bring you back to grounding and bring you back to your center. That's what the goal is about, mastering your emotions. It's always about coming back to who you are. What techniques are you going to use? So that's a great one. Yeah, no, I'm ready to, Dave.
I know. I think we're all ready, Dave. Oh my gosh. But you know what? And I love, picture yourself that tree, that big, huge tree with a big trunk, nice and solid, huge, deep roots. You're that tree. Yes, things are going to blow your leaves and your branches, but you stand firm. Yes. And we're in that right now. The storm, I think we're in the calm before the storm. That's the feeling I have right now. It's like everything was so chaotic, and then all of a sudden I'm like peaceful and everything is fantastic. I'm feeling really good. And I'm like, wow, what a difference from last week energetically.
Interesting too, because we haven't talked about this week, that we're both feeling this way, and we're quite a ways apart, but we're still feeling it. So these energies are bigger than us. So a lot of the things that we're feeling inside that we think we're feeling have an influence beyond us. So it's okay to know that too, and not get lost, not get caught up in the story. Right. There's a movie I watched one night, Manchurian Candidate. If anybody who hasn't seen that, and it talks about the mind lies and with the military and the Desert War. And I think Denzel Washington is in it. It's quite a movie. And I wonder, it's just as you asked, are the Olympics even real? No. How much of this is what they've implanted in our minds isn't even going to end up being real. Right. Good stuff for the people who are ready. And it doesn't matter. It makes you feel better when you're ready. It doesn't matter if you're ready is different than somebody else is ready, is different than somebody else is ready. It does not matter. Do you feel good about what you've done to prepare? That's what's going to give you the peace of mind. When you have peace of mind, you see clearly, or more clearly.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got this week, I mean, feeling the way I do, it feels like it's a time that this serenity is a time to prepare, because you're no longer in that, like, oh my gosh, so many things are coming at me. He was like, oh, I got so much done this week that I've been trying to get done for a long time. And it's like this. Right on.
I got absolutely nothing done. And it feels good.
Well, you're on vacation. That's different.
I know, but I just blanked out, right? I don't care. And I realized I can trust myself. And if I'm wrong, so what? I'm no one who's going to deal with it. You know what I mean? But trusting myself to know that, no, this is more important for me right now. To be able to feel the energy that's not city energy.
Yeah. Yes. You're very fortunate. You're very fortunate.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm a little envious, but actually, you know what? I have a great yard. When I go into my garden too, because my garden, like, whoa. My corn is like over my fence now. It's like super tall, and really I've never grown corn before, so this is very cool. And I'm enjoying it so much just to be out in it, like walking in through the lines of my garden, and it's very fun. And I don't think I've ever enjoyed it as much as I have this year.
Yeah. But it means different things when you realize that you're buying real food and you're growing real food instead of buying the processed or the fake stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? It's going on 12:31.
Maybe it's time to sing. You wanted to do 45 minutes today because you were worried about internet, and here we are. We doubled it.
There you go. 45 for you and 45 for me. There you go.
There you go. We did it. Anyways, guys. Yeah. Excuse me. My mouth is so dry today.
So happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for coming out today, and really trust yourself when it comes to mastering yourself and mastering your emotions, and understand the significance of this. And I'll give an example, just one thing that had come to me. I learned last year how to bend spoons with my mind. So I still have to use my hands on it, but you set the intention with your mind. And then what you do, I'm just giving you the quick preview. You send the spoon love. The most love you can bring up from your heart, and you send it to the spoon, and then you let it go, and then you bend the spoon. This is the process. So this is why our emotions are so important. If we're all caught up in fear, you can't feel love the way you're meant to. So that's just one example.
Yeah. Sorry, this deck just was like calling out to me today. So just now, I was just like, before we go, pull one card. All right. From these are my soul's journey cards. So let me just. Interesting. Peace.
Wonderful. So this is how we feel, like we bring serenity in, right?
Can you see it? I am
being a being of love.
All right, hold on. I'm a being of love, and I release all negative energy. Isn't that what we were talking about a little earlier? And I think that's where we're at. We just got to release all that negative energy. You know, feel the love of who you are. And you have a question, Robin? Shoot, go for it. Do you want to do it on here or offline?
Not everybody feels negative right now, because you know what's going on doesn't mean it's negative. So it's important to understand that too. You might not have negative energy. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But the most important thing is you trust what you're feeling right now. Thank you, everybody, for the beautiful comments.
Oh, she wants to know if Sylvia Brown is still alive. I don't know which Sylvia Brown. There's a couple of them, but I'm assuming the psychic Sylvia Brown is the psychic Sylvia Brown still alive. Nope.
I don't know who she is.
She was a psychic, and I think she used to talk to dead people, medium.
Okay.
She wrote a bunch of books and stuff a long time ago. Can you do yours, Sandy? Maybe, confirm.
I don't know who she is, but I think we should keep going because it's 12:33 and I got to get down to the beat. What do you want to know?
Sylvia Brown, the psychic, is she still alive?
Is Sylvia Brown the psychic still alive? No.
No, I didn't think so. No, she's gone.
I'm trying to think what other questions to ask. I don't know. I'm getting a blank today, but I just. I'm feeling really good about where we're at, what's going on. We know we're going to be scared, and there's no guarantees anywhere. Like somebody might ask, is there going to be a flood in California? Well, what part of California? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, we got to just go through and see what's going to happen here, and put out good intentions. We want the best outcome for all parties involved. We want the best of prosperity, abundance, peace, harmony, all those things. We want to see truth. That's the spiritual journey, to be able to see and discern the truth. And we're aiming for that just by going through and asking, are the Olympics on right now? No, everything's bullshit. So then why are we worrying about things that don't matter? It's all a lie, right?
And
So,
the beauty
okay.
is if we actually bring all those things that you said, you know, the peace, joy, love, bring it into yourself. Because when we all bring it into ourselves, then we actually put it into the world. And that's, again, always going inside. First, we have to embody it to be able to live it. You have to embody it to live it. Yeah, and that's a huge one, and that's why the mastery is so important of everything. And I'm going to change the name because we said emotions, but I think this is mastery of self. We talked more about mastery of self. Emotions is just one piece of it.
Yeah. You can change it to what you want, right? But it is the significance is the emotion is the one that's being shamed. The emotion is the one that people are encouraged not to feel. So we did talk about a lot of things. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Is Joan Rivers is still alive? I actually had that feeling before, actually, but it says yes. Johnny Baby is alive. She had to go undercover because she called out that Michelle had a penis. That Michelle had a penis.
No good deed. So all lies, right?
All lies. It's all lies. All lies. I love you all. We should go. Thank you so much for being here. We'll be back next week.
Have a great week. Have a great week. Stay centered. Stay happy.
Yes. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.